Hello, and welcome back to another Player Jack analysis video. Today is not Miles Jack, I lied, because I completely forgot to do my defensive tackles. So, instead of Miles Jack, which will wait about 2-3 days, I only have 3 or 4 defensive tackles I'm really truly interested in. So, today we will start with Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle, Louisville. Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle, Louisville, 6'1", 299 pounds. Some career stats: he had 133 tackles, 31 and a half of those tackles were for a loss. He had 18 career sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Louisville has, they've brought in some really good talent into the NFL in recent years, being Calvin Pryor, Teddy Bridgewater, guys like them, who have had really great careers at this point. So, I think that Louisville has really brought in some great talent to the NFL, and I think this is the last year of that really great talent. Charlie Strong was a really great recruiter, so we'll just have to see where it goes from here with Louisville. But I couldn't really find any accolades. I saw third team all Atlantic Coast Conference AAC all AAC third team. My God, I can't talk. But with that being said, let's just go into the pros and cons. My first pro is he has great stamina, which kind of leads into him being a 3-down starter. I think he can start 3 downs and has really good stamina for a man of his size. He's not going to come off the field 2nd, 3rd down. He's going to stay on there for almost. He's going to be out there for 3 downs. A lot of times. He's good in pass rush at defensive tackle, coming from 18 sacks, which is a solid number for defensive tackles. You don't see a lot of defensive tackles who make really good plays in the run or the pass. They're mostly run guys. There are some exceptions in the NFL with Ndamukong Suh and some guys like that. So, overall, though, I think that Langford can definitely start all 3 downs, and he has the good enough stamina for a man of his size to be that starter on multiple downs. Next is just, I guess I can kind of combine 2 for 1 here, and just him as a defender overall is good. He's solid in the pass rush game with, 18 tackles, and he's very good in the run game with 30 and a half tackles for a loss, 31 and a half tackles for a loss.
3rd down now.
That just shows me he's a well-rounded guy who plays the interior well, and overall can just do a lot of good things. Eddie Royal, you suck so much dick. But continuing on, I just think that his run defense is good, and his pass defense isn't amazing, but it's good enough that you won't have to take him off the field to rush the passer. He's one of those, again, he's going back to 3-down starter. He's a defensive tackle where you don't have to take him off the field very often unless he's gassed, and he won't really be gassed too much because he has very good stamina. Next, the strength. He's a strong guy. He's going to bull rush you, but just because he's strong doesn't mean that the bull rush is his only type of way of getting in the backfield. He's smart enough to, spin around or use a swim or, rip, all of those things. He's smart enough to use those things, and he has the strength to use them all to a good advantage.
Miller's tackled down after a gain of 2.
And just overall, his strength is one of his biggest attributes because he just plays, he uses his strength very well.
The Dolphins take it from the 43.
Whoa, accidentally locked on.
That's going to bring up 4th down. This game has the field.
And next, he uses his hands very well.
Back in the 50s
Now,
60s.
You know, he uses them to rip, bull rush, he uses them for all of his pass rushing moves. But surprisingly, for a man who is 6'1" and almost 300 pounds, this man caught 2 interceptions his junior year. At defensive tackle, this man had 2 interceptions. So obviously he has the awareness and, you know, the field kind of knowledge, I guess you could say, to be smart enough to realize where the ball is and have even an attempt at an interception at defensive tackle. And also he uses his hands while he's rushing very well and uses them to good advantage for himself. But overall, I think that his pros, again, like most of these prospects, far outweigh his cons. I think that his cons aren't anything that are terrible and, you know, are going to be hard to fix.
First down at the 31.
But that being said, let's get into the cons. First, his speed. And again, you can't expect amazing speed from a guy of his size. But I feel like his speed can definitely improve. I mean, you don't have to be an incredible, you know, fantastic speed kind of rusher if you're as big and as powerful as he is. But I think you have to have some speed to help close on a ball carrier. I currently see him, until he improves his speed, as the kind of guy you kind of just stick in there at defensive tackle and let him, you know, clog up a hole. For now, until he can prove that his, you know, his pass rushing is, or his speed on closing on a ball carrier is improving. And next, he's inconsistent. You know, he had an amazing he had a very good Senior Bowl showing. You know, he showed a lot of people what he can do with the Senior Bowl, and he, you know, I agree. That's where he kind of got put on the map for me also, is at the Senior Bowl. But if you go back and watch his game tape, he was very up and down throughout his senior season. He'd have a really good game. You know, he'd have a sack and, you know, like 2 tackles for a loss. And then maybe 2 weeks later, he'd be a complete and utter non-factor. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. I meant to press X and go for aggressive catch with triangle, but I screwed up and did the opposite. But again, those are my cons for Sheldon Rankins. Overall, I think that he is, I say this to a lot of guys, he's a mostly, you know, positive player. There's nothing really truly wrong with him as a player. I think the only thing that can be an issue to fix is his inconsistency. But again, that's just all on the coaching staff and how he personally takes it upon himself to perform. So, that being said, I have him rated as a early to mid first round prospect. Again, his talent is there, and I think that he just has to, you know, he just has to use it to a much better. He just has to use his talent in a much better way in the NFL. He has all the talent that you want in a big interior lineman. He just has to show it and be just a little bit more of an athlete. Again, I'm not asking him to be an amazing, incredible athlete, but he has to be a little bit of a better one. But some teams of interest include the Chicago Bears. I think this team needs to really kind of revamp their offensive line. I don't think there's a lot of guys who are going to be consistent, solid starters for the future on that defensive line. Maybe Jarvis Jenkins, but other than that, I don't really see it. And their other D tackle, whose name is escaping me right now. Again, I think that this team will probably end up running a 4-3, as they're probably going to have to get a bit better, you know, overall. That and the lack of a... Well, actually, I forgot Danny Trevathan's on the team, I think, now. But still, I think that they would fit better with a 3-4 or a 4-3, excuse me. Just because you can have two very good interior guys in Rankins and their rookie from last year, whose name I have to check now because I'll feel like an idiot. Goldman's a bit of a bigger guy. Rankins, I think, is I don't want to say more athletic, but he's a more upside potential player. So I think that those two on a 4-3 can definitely do some work. Again, I think that they would probably be better off running one as they can get the most out of their defensive line if they take Rankins. And I think their linebacking core is probably the weakest part of this team. Lamar Houston's good. Fernero McPhee is very good. And inside, Danny Trevathan is good. But I don't think they need to run a 3-4 just because I think they'd be better off having more up front, especially if you can have two big D tackles like that on the inside. Next, the New Orleans Saints. Same thing. I think New Orleans really needs to, kind of revamp their defensive line. They probably have a couple guys there who can start and be solid contributors. But I think that Sheldon Rankins can step in day one and be a consistent starter who can really, just, be a guy that you can rely on. Even though he has inconsistency issues, he's a guy who will come in and he'll at least give maximum effort every single play of every single game. Next, the Detroit Lions. I think this is a team that after losing the Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley in the exact same year, still needs to find an identity inside. Haloti Ngata is a guy that's very good, but currently I don't think he is. Obviously, he's not a guy for the future as he's getting up there in age. I'm pretty sure he's going to be turning 35 soon. So they need to find a young guy, and again, Haloti Ngata has a lot of things he can teach a young guy like Sheldon Rankins. I just hit myself in the mouth with my mic. But I think Sheldon Rankins can definitely learn from a guy like Haloti Ngata and eventually take over a starting role. Next, I have the Buffalo Bills. I don't exactly know what kind of front they run. If they run a 4, definitely take this guy if he's available. Line him up with Marcel Darius. Kyle Williams is starting to get up there in age, so Rankins can step in. Him and Darius can be a feat to try and defend. They can be an issue, not a feat, but they will be a huge issue for interior linemen. Two big, not 100% athletic, but two strong guys. One of them is athletic for his size. The other one's a lot stronger than he looks because I personally think he might be a little undersized. In Rankins, 6'1" is maybe a little undersized. I'd say maybe 6'3", 6'4" is a defensive tackle's average. But we will see. If he falls to Buffalo, though, I think Rex Ryan will definitely find a way to use this guy in, a great way.
And that pass is going out of bounds.
So, there's that. Next, Washington. I currently have Washington taking another defensive tackle because I don't think Rankins will fall this far. But again, if he's there, I think this is a team, after losing Terrence Knighton and someone else, my God, my buddy's a big Redskins fan, so I cannot think of who it is. But they lost Terrence Knighton and another interior defensive tackle, so they need to find a young guy who can replace him on an up-and-coming defense that on a team that is also up-and-coming. I thought I just unplugged my mic. So, although I don't think it'll be Sheldon Rankins, if he's there, obviously they will take him. But I don't think Rankins will be there. But overall, Sheldon Rankins is a mostly, almost all plus side, player. I don't think that he has a lot of issues, except for maybe his inconsistency and his speed. Speed is something he can fix with just a little bit more conditioning, maybe dropping a little bit of weight. But that being said, I believe that with the 11th overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears will select Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle, Louisville. Because, again, I think that this team's linebacking core is solid. Obviously, they have a couple issues in the defensive backfield, but I think that can be addressed later in what is, I believe, a pretty decent, defensive back class. William Jackson, those guys like that. Kendall Fuller, a lot of good guys in this class. So I think this is definitely something they can address at a later time. I think they can take the best interior defensive lineman in this class and a guy who can definitely be a day one starter. If they run a 4-front, definitely a day one starter. If they run a 3-front, him and Goldman can rotate and be two very good defensive tackles and two very formidable defensive tackles that the teams have to plan for. Why did I go possession there? I feel like an idiot. But that being said, I really like Sheldon Rankins. I think overall, though, he is a very solid talent. And coming up next is A'Shawn Robinson from Bama. Just to let you know, for defensive tackles, I will be doing A'Shawn Robinson, Robert Nkemdiche, and Andrew Billings from Baylor, I believe. I picked two of them in particular. One because I have two of those three in the first round of my mock draft, which I actually just recorded today, and I'm actually very happy with. But I felt like I should probably do it now, just so I don't forget to record it. So, but I have 3 D tackles in my first round. So, 2 of those 3 guys coming up will be. So coming up next will probably be Nkemdiche, because spoiler alert, that's my next D tackle on this class. I have going. Then it will be Robinson, then Billings. Mostly Billings because I just overall like him as a player, and I think he might be a target for my favorite team, the Steelers, so we'll see. He could potentially be a target for him. I doubt it, though.
Landry's got a chance this time.
So,
He's tackled at the 28.
might as well see if I can finish this game off. If it goes into overtime, I'll cut this video.
Still has a chance here, Phil. Late in the game, can they
expecting to do my linebackers next, but totally forgot about interior linemen.
From the defensive side, know the situation. If they get the ball, they catch a pass, make sure you come up and make the tackle. Don't let them catch and run and get a big play against you.
Miller with the reception. Miller's brought down.
Definitely just butchered this guy's last name.
The Dolphins have used all of their timeouts.
So,
have to go the rest of the way here in
whatever.
I
totally did not pay attention on that last play.
Every snap now. Second down coming up. Time, obviously, a factor the rest of the way. The Dolphins snap it at the 41. Richard Matthews has the reception.
I totally forgot about the Dane Trevathan going to Chicago. I think it was Trevathan or Marshall. It was one of the two. I think it was Marshall, actually. But one of the two went here. So. What was that animation of him falling over? Also, if Kendall Fuller does go to Chicago in maybe the second round, which I could see actually, can pair him up with his brother, which is pretty chill. That's pretty chill, I guess. Whatever, man. So, see if these assholes can pull off a miracle.
The defense here must not panic. They know that they're going to be facing this hurry-up offense, a team that's desperate.
Yeah, that's right. They know the situation. Don't give up the big play. And if you can tackle somebody in bounds, make sure you get it done.
I just have to record when I start the video. Nope, out of bounds.
And that pass is going out of bounds, incomplete.
Well, when it's third long, I'll just say this, be very careful on the offensive side.
Honestly, playing these like really quick games like this, like these 20-minute quick games, are extremely fun. Whoa, he dropped it. Damn. All right, that was really fun. But for now, this is J-Wax signing off.
Because when you're the quarterback of the NFL team,